So our panel is here and ready to share insights with you. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our panel to you now. I'd like to welcome Jack McKenzie, CEO and founder of CollegeAPP, Sean Godleski, our co-founder and executive vice president at CollegeAPP, and a special welcome to a panelist that's joining us today, Amanda Hearn. She's a higher education marketing and insights consultant. We also have Hannah McNamee and Gretchen Thompson from the CollegeAPP team. They're going to be monitoring the chat, so do feel free to ask questions in there. And of course, we'll have time at the end for any questions that you may have. So we will go ahead and just dive right into our agenda. We're going to be covering these key aspects of our new Google Access opportunity. We'll be covering what's changed, why and how intent-based targeting differs from retargeting and interest segments, when Google makes sense in your media mix, and of course, when it doesn't. And then what next steps you can take with CollegeAPP to unlock these new capabilities. So moving into our first question for the panel, why Google Ad Network? Sean and Amanda, I'm going to ask you to kick us off with this one.
Absolutely. So main reason, as you can see here in the bullet points, Google reaches over 90% of internet users, over 250 million adults in the US across their network, large pool of users. In terms of their display network, which is where on different websites you see ad inventory, they make up the bulk at 90% of available display inventory. So there's no other competitor that has as much inventory as Google. And then that third bullet point there, YouTube, 230 million US users. It's the world's second most visited site. So you have a lot of eyeballs that you can reach within Google's ad network.
Yeah, as Sean mentioned, it's really just about making sure we're showing up where our target audience is and kind of activating the Google Ad Network ensures that kind of the college app community will be able to reach those students. And so I think anytime we can make sure that that is a more prevalent branding and marketing opportunity, that's a really good thing.
Awesome. Great insights to get us started. Thank you. So perhaps, Sean, you could go into a bit more detail about what capabilities our partners currently have access to and what this might look like now with Google.
Yeah, absolutely. We are always adding new channels as the digital landscape evolves. And so current clients may know that, the suite of social media channels that we typically advertise on. But we also have access to many of the streaming services for video, streaming audio, things like Spotify and Pandora, podcasts, and kind of everything that you see here on the screen and more. Part of what we're going to be doing from now in the future is continue to add on to these offerings, and Google is the newest offering.
Fantastic. And speaking of those offerings, I think it looks a little bit like this.
Yeah. So things like YouTube, Google TV, Google Music, and again, sort of that entire suite of ad inventory that is available through all the websites that is part of Google's ad network. Those will all be, we're now able to use CollegeAPP data in all of those different channels.
Speaking of CollegeAPP data, Jack, do you mind speaking a little bit about how CollegeAPP data is unique in this area?
Yeah, and this is actually right, Sean. What has changed? We haven't changed, right? So our data has always been person level, privacy safe, highly targeted because it's to the device or to the individual that you might download from the database, et cetera. What's changed is Google has finally turned the corner to allow our kind of targeting to live on their platforms. Previous to this development and CollegeAPP and the underlying database partner that we have has been arguing for this for years, that we should be able to use these modern techniques in the Google platform. And they finally said yes. So that's a great development. So it extends your reach because it extends our reach. And on the platforms, your data will behave in the same way. We will put someone's name in, someone's IP address, etc. That ad will find them. Now there's just more places where that ad can find them if you choose to use the Google network with your campaign.
Great, thank you. A question that our partners might be asking is, should they also still be using Google search? Amanda, what are your thoughts on this space?
Yeah, so Google search, I think for most marketers and kind of people who are thinking about reaching their target audiences is a really good tool and kind of part of your marketing strategy. However, it can get really expensive really quickly, and it also kind of depends on what the goals are of the marketing campaign. And so part of what, is different with this is that search really is about indicating declared interest, right? And this is different because what CollegeAPP is doing is it's predicting that intent before a person like has the search behavior. And so like the opportunity to kind of hone and focus based on that predicted intent, I think is really interesting. But adding in Google search really depends on what the campaign goals and budget is and whether or not it makes sense to include that in the mix.
Right. Anything additional, Sean, in that regard?
Yeah, and very much in the same vein as Amanda said. So, typically for clients, if they're already doing search, we would take a look and kind of analyze, well, are you spending too much to compete against other schools or other offerings, where just the majority of your budget is going to that channel? And usually the answer is, if they are, yes, you can actually pull back a little bit, have some really quality keywords that you are putting money towards, and then shift channels to more top of funnel activity through CollegeAPP and the channels that we would recommend to push further down funnel at a cheaper cost. So you're getting the added value of the prediction to move further down funnel into that search criteria.
Right. All right, let's talk a little bit about how the CollegeAPP approach is different from typical Google advertising. Amanda?
Yeah. Maybe I'd hop over it. There we go. Perfect. So what you see on the left is kind of what a marketing agency would do to kind of configure your audience, or maybe what you've done or your team has done. And really typical Google ad network placement and things like that relies on a couple of things, specifically contextual placement, right? So they're looking at, has this individual already watched similar types of content, or affinity buckets or interest, right? So those lookalike audiences or demographic information. Or maybe you're doing some retargeting, right? Where the person is known, but they haven't yet converted or taken the action. Or maybe they've done a little bit, but they haven't completed the form, right? And so in this world, for most agencies and most teams who are doing advertising on Google, they're kind of limited to those options, right? That more kind of contextual media placement. However, what is interesting for me as a marketer, and for I think especially about what CollegeAPP is doing, is what CollegeAPP can now uniquely do. And really, like what that is applying these education specific person level predictive models, right? So no one else has the data that CollegeAPP has, right? And now CollegeAPP can leverage that, the depth and breadth of that data further up funnel so that you can use that predicted intent to enroll or to act in your marketing campaigns. It also means that kind of CollegeAPP clients are able to select which like records they want to activate. So that level of precision gets amplified a little bit. And then additionally, instead of looking at like proxies for education or enrollment intent, CollegeAPP is leveraging enrollment centric data, right? And so they're not deriving intent based on other factors. They are predicting that intent based on the data science and analytics that has gone into building these person level predictive models across the database.
Great, super helpful. So Jack or Sean, did you want to add anything there? Or?
Yeah,
You
just
know,
oh, go
I
ahead.
think this is the kind of place where if someone has a question about any of that, like I think sometimes we take for granted that what we talked about 2 years ago when we met you, that you still remember. But the important thing here is that we have a disciplined process to predict intent. And we're not scraping their web behavior and we're not chasing around their social media and guessing whether or not they have intent to enroll. Someone could search for the University of Arkansas, but that doesn't mean they want to enroll there. Um, right. So, I think that's what we're trying to communicate here is that the word intent actually has meaning when it comes to marketing, and not just perceived intent, but modeled statistically valid intent.
Yeah.
Great. And sorry, Sean, did you want to
No,
share?
I think they nailed it.
Okay, great. Well, some of our partners might also be asking if this is FERPA compliant. Sean, I'm going to let you answer.
Can we do a drum roll?
Yes. So no privacy laws are violated by doing this. Our database is HIPAA, CCPA, all the privacy law compliant, and we are not using any student data to do the targeting. So similar to all the other channels we're running, this is FERPA compliant. There's no worries on privacy laws.
Amazing. Great. Great. This is really exciting for our partners to now have access to this incredible amount of inventory. Probably a bit curious about what's next and what that might look for from the client perspective. Jack, do you mind kind of running over these components for us?
Yeah. So, if you're currently using us to place media, you've heard us talk about how seriously we take the capabilities of each of the platforms that we send your ads to. And the reality is, by virtue of having this webinar, we have not used Google advertising for your campaigns up to now. And so while we're excited by opening up this door of essentially expanding reach and being able to find more people who are on your list, we also don't know what the results will be, right? Display advertising is a totally different play than, say, an in-app conversion ad to get an application. Right. So what we want to do is work with you, those of you who might be interested, is to help us test this out. If you're interested, we're not telling you you should, but if you have interest in advertising on the Google platforms and seeing how that works, we're going to commit the time from here on February 19th up until July 1 to learn with you. And learn best practices. What is the better display ad? Since we don't really do display ads that much these days, what are the Google platforms that are best for conversion into whatever it is we want to track that next stage? Is it go to the website? Is it fill out a RFI form, whatever the case may be? So we kind of opening up to our clients to join a cohort of people who are willing to experiment a little bit, but also share back the results, not just with us, but the other CollegeAPP clients who are doing it, so that collectively we can learn and develop best practices of this data on these platforms. YouTube might have a whole different kind of effect than say the Google Music suite. And sorry if I got that wrong. And we'll handle that the same way we do now. It'll be a standard management fee that you use now when you use us. There is one thing that's important about this, for those of you who don't use us for media placement is because this is our capability with this data, at least during this cohort period through July 1, we will not be allowing agencies to place media on Google using our data because it's something we fought really hard to get. And we want to learn about it and learn the best practices in this category, adult learners, education, training, and how that really plays out so that when we open the floodgates, if you will, on July 1st, then we will have informed recommendations on how best to use. And until then, we want to keep kind of a lid on it so all the learnings are internal to us and internal to our client base and not to the general marketing ecosystem that might be engaged. So that's the only limitation. Otherwise, we're very happy to work with you on taking a look at what your current media spend plan is, and if you want some consultation from Sean and his team about how to maybe rearrange some dollars so that you don't increase your spend, or if you think you've got some extra spend that you want to experiment with on the Google platforms, we're happy to help you manage that. Always with what we do every single day, keeping in mind we want to keep your costs down. Right. That's the most important thing to us when it comes to how your marketing dollars are spent, is we want them to be spent efficiently. So we hope that some of you, and there are probably more clients who will get this opportunity who aren't on the webinar, but some of you say, yeah, I think we could test that out for a couple months and see how it works. And then we'll all have a secret that we can share together, and then let other people know about it after July 1.
Fantastic. Well, it does sound like a really great opportunity. I know I'm really excited to see our clients and partners activate in this space. For those of you that have opted to join us today, we have a unique opportunity, of course, for you to jump in and join this opportunity right away. So we're going to drop a poll out there. So for those of you that are on the poll, you can let us know right now that you want to be a part of the beta test, you're interested in learning more, you need a little time to think about it, so you want to have a follow-up conversation with us. We're eager to kind of kick things off, and we'll be following up with everybody anyways, but we thought, well, gosh, if anybody wants to go ahead and tell us today, that'd be a great way for us to go ahead and start activating as quickly as possible. So let's move into our Q&A section. I'm going to end the poll, but that doesn't mean that you won't have an opportunity to jump in on that ability to join the pilot with us that Jack had shared just a few minutes ago. So I'm going to go ahead and check in with my teammates Hannah and Gretchen to see if you'd like to highlight any questions from the chat.
Yeah, I have a great question from someone. The question is, how long should a typical Google campaign run, and is it similar to any other channels like social?
Yeah, I'll take that. That's a good question. So as many of you have probably heard us preach before, that this is not a short-term solution. We like to think of this as a full-on strategy using the College App data. If you needed an answer on a minimum, we typically say around 8 weeks. However, we like to see a longer duration. We rather you be in market longer and spend less money over time to reach the right people, so that as you get to that frequency cap where you're getting them saturated, that they convert when they're ready. But getting that message in front of the right person at a lower cost over a longer time scale. That's really what we're focused on.
Great.
Wonderful. Thanks, Sean. I do have one more question. I have somebody who is saying they already have their media budget allocated for this year. Can College App provide advice in shifting budget to Google, and what might that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially what we would do is take a look, have a meeting, take a look at kind of what your media mix is now, how much you're allocating, and then make recommendations and what we could do to either add it into the mix or more efficiently spend based on the goal and sort of deadline there.
Right. And what about asset development? What kind of inventory would the clients need or partners need to develop or have in order to kind of spring right into this launch opportunity?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's going to depend on what part of Google's ad network that we'd be taking advantage of for YouTube. Anything from a 6 to 7 second bumper ad to a 15, 30 second pre-roll ad. Those are going to be video assets. With the display ads, typically those can either be static or moving, usually like HTML5. Those are going to be various sizes, so we could spec that out, but it's usually like 300 by 250 and 728 by 90, kind of different aspect ratios. We have spec sheets, so if there is interest to kind of get those sizing, we can send that over to you.
Right. Awesome. Great. This is really exciting. Again, very informative. I'd like to thank first and foremost our panelists for joining us today. We know you're really busy, but we appreciate the energy around this big announcement for our partners. So Jack, Sean, and in particular, thanks to Amanda Hearn for joining us today for this session. We know that you're likely very excited about this new data and service. To all of our partners out there, we're very excited about this additional advertising inventory that is now available to you. Of course, this session is going to be and has been recorded. It was going to be shared, so you can reference it later and share with your colleagues. And we are very eager to support you, and our partner success team looks forward to following up with you to further investigate your interest in this opportunity. So thanks, everyone, and have a really great day.